Tonight's episode of Coronation Street delivers a dramatic twist as Daniel Osbourne's hidden attacker is finally arrested, with Will Driscoll's wrongdoing catching up with him at last. The pressing question remains whether investigators have gathered sufficient proof to formally charge the troubled youngster. The unfolding chaos in Weatherfield begins after Daniel participates in a restorative justice session, where he meets the homeless man previously imprisoned for the savage assault that occurred on Christmas Day. During their conversation, Daniel quickly realizes that the man Colin could not have carried out the attack, and that the authorities appear to have arrested the wrong person. Daniel observes that Colin struggles with mobility problems, which contradicts Daniel's memory of his assailant fleeing swiftly from the scene. Overwhelmed by Daniel's probing questions, Colin eventually admits he had been desperate for somewhere warm to stay, even if that meant spending time behind bars, when he falsely confessed to the crime. Shocked and frustrated, Daniel finds himself back at the beginning of the investigation. Later at the Rovers, Daniel overhears Eva Price criticizing Will over his explosive behavior following yet another argument within the Driscoll family. A sudden realization hits Daniel as he recalls that Will had been angry with him on Christmas Day. He also remembers a key detail placing Will near the location of the assault, casting serious suspicion on the schoolboy. When Daniel challenges him privately in the pub's back room, Will insists he is innocent, yet Daniel remains doubtful. The situation escalates when Kit Green arrives to detain Will on suspicion of assault. Could this signal the end for him? And what consequences might this have for Maggie, who has been secretly involved? Daniel had been discovered unconscious in the ginnel on Christmas Day, only being found the following morning by Evelyn Plummer. Viewers previously learned of Will's culpability when Maggie confronted him about the attack. However, Maggie was concealing wrongdoing of her own, having planted Daniel's belongings on Colin in an attempt to frame him. Will's aggression was part of a wider storyline involving Megan Walsh manipulating the vulnerable teenager. Motivated by jealousy after seeing Daniel grow closer to Megan, Will lashed out. Now there is growing speculation that Megan's hidden actions could also be brought to light. Coronation Street developed the Will and Megan storyline with guidance from Barnardo's, and further advice and support can be found through the charity's official channels. Coronation Street. Carl plots to have Ronnie locked up in dramatic upcoming episodes. Carl Webster makes another heartless decision next week as he attempts to drag Ronnie Bailey into serious legal trouble. The big question is whether his manipulative plan will actually succeed. In scenes set to air soon, the hostility between the pair escalates sharply. During a tense confrontation, Carl bluntly tells Ronnie that Debbie will always choose him above anyone else, reminding him that she is his mother. Seeking clarity, Ronnie later visits Debbie in prison, where she verifies the long-hidden truth Carl recently exposed, a secret she has carried for decades. Even with everything out in the open, peace proves impossible, and the feud spirals into a physical altercation. Left bruised with a visible black eye, Carl approaches Detective Kit Green and insists that Ronnie should be taken into custody for attacking him. Will the officer have no choice but to arrest Ronnie on suspicion of assault? At the same time, Debbie is caught off guard when a prison officer informs her that her so-called brother, Carl, intends to pay her a visit. Their previous meeting ended bitterly, with Carl cruelly telling Debbie to stay behind bars after convincing himself that his adoptive mother, Elaine, never truly cared for him because he was not her biological child. Since Debbie's imprisonment and subsequent collapse while incarcerated, Carl may now be rethinking his harsh stance. Has remorse changed his perspective, or is this visit simply another attempt to cause further damage? An insider reveals that Debbie is delighted at the chance to see Carl again, desperate to make amends for the years she was unable to be a proper parent to him. She vows that once she is released, she will do everything within her power to fix the past. The uncertainty remains over whether Carl is willing to repair their fractured bond. With Ronnie potentially facing criminal proceedings and Carl apparently intent on sabotaging his mother's future, what turmoil could be waiting for Debbie on the street if she ever secures her freedom? Coronation Street reveals Maggie's new focus as friction rises at the Rovers. Maggie Driscoll turns her attention to Lauren Bolton's personal life next week, interfering as Lauren's connection with Ollie begins to blossom. After meeting through work and quickly taking a liking to one another, the pair are tentatively exploring a new romance, much to Maggie's displeasure. Determined to sabotage their plans, Maggie manipulates the pub's shift schedule to ensure Lauren is working the evening of her planned date, effectively preventing the meetup from happening. An insider describes Maggie as openly spiteful, revealing that she even boasts to Ben and Eva about deliberately assigning Lauren a shift the night before, specifically to derail the date. The calculated interference raises serious concerns about how far Maggie might be prepared to go in order to keep Ollie away from Lauren. As the week unfolds, Steve McDonald and Ben Driscoll share a friendly darts match, while Lauren and Ollie exchange playful banter behind the bar. Though the mood appears lighthearted for the young couple, Maggie's frustration is evident as she watches their growing closeness. Before long, she snaps at Lauren, instructing her to stop fooling around and concentrate on her responsibilities. The question remains whether Lauren will comply or stand her ground. Sources say Maggie cannot tolerate the flirtation between Lauren and Ollie, finding their chemistry deeply irritating. True to form, she makes little effort to conceal her annoyance. Her hostility is directed squarely at Lauren, naturally intensifying the strain between them. Whether Maggie will manage to wedge the young pair apart is yet to be seen, or perhaps Lauren and Ollie will persevere despite her interference. Show bosses have hinted that Maggie will play a pivotal role this year, particularly once the truth about Megan Walsh's manipulation of Will comes to light. Protective of her youngest grandson, Maggie may take drastic measures when those revelations surface. Producers have also teased answers to a lingering mystery from last year when Maggie appeared unsettled after noticing something unusual inside Ken Barlow's home. Producer Kate Brooks previously mentioned a subtle moment at number 1 that attentive viewers might have caught, in which Maggie glanced into a cabinet and reacted as though she had discovered something troubling. The secret behind that uneasy reaction is set to be unveiled in the coming months, with insiders suggesting it is only the beginning of a much larger storyline. Coronation Street unveils major murder storyline, placing 5 key residents in peril. A gripping new plot is set to take center stage on the cobbles, revolving around a shocking killing that promises to unfold in a completely unexpected fashion. The drama kicks off next Monday, opening with a visibly anxious Betsy Swain seated inside a police questioning room. Though she appears stylishly dressed for an occasion, the distress etched across her face hints that the event she attended ended in tragedy. It soon becomes clear that officers are interrogating her after she stumbled upon a corpse. When the detective switches the recorder back on, another surprise emerges, revealing that the questioning is actually taking place months later, in April. The identity of the deceased remains a mystery, particularly as several prominent figures on the street have recently been at the center of significant conflict. The storyline begins as a "who was targeted" puzzle, which is expected to develop into a full-scale search for the culprit. Producers have suggested that this flash-forward scene will serve as a crucial meeting point for several of the show's biggest ongoing plots. Current high-profile story arcs will converge within this larger narrative, linking together as events build toward a deadly outcome. The plot has been described as layered and complex, focusing first on uncovering who has died and the circumstances surrounding the fatal incident. As the mystery unfolds, attention will shift to determining who is responsible for the untimely death. The long-running ITV drama airs on ITV1 on weeknights at 8:30 p.m. and can also be streamed via ITVX.